Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Luminous and Eosin coming back to you guys with the Dota 2 laning combo. As always, I will be playing the support Shadow Demon, and my friend Eosin will be playing the carry Kunkka. Before we actually unpause the replay and start talking about our item builds, we really want to talk about the mindset of this lane. Unlike CM Juggernaut, which is the video that we did previously, that lane is all filled with bloodlust. You're supposed to Nova, you're supposed to spin, and you're supposed to get a kill. This lane operates on a completely different axis. This lane is not a premier killing lane for a couple of reasons. So Eosin, if you could tell us, first and foremost, why isn't this lane a really kill heavy lane?
Okay, so this lane isn't as much of a kill lane simply because the damage output at level 1 isn't as high. At level 1, you only have a disruption and a torrent, and level 1 torrent only does 120 damage. So you add that with auto attacks, you only end up with maybe 300 at best. One thing to note is that when you hit level 3, things do change dramatically, as that level 2 Soul Catcher greatly increases your damage.
Another reason that this is not the premier killing lane is that the kill range is actually quite short. Disruption initiation range is nowhere near compared to some of the more premier initiation spells. If you want to go back and watch that CM Juggernaut video, we were able to kill from afar. We saw the bounty hunter, we Nova, we spun, he's dead. Difference between Shadow Demon is that even if you find somebody a little bit out of position, it's hard to actually disrupt and then set up the torrent combo because of the cast range is so short.
Right, and one of the last reasons, and one of the most important reasons as well, is that disruption has a 2.5 duration where your opponents have time to react. This could be disrupting your combo or setting up to counterattack, you know, these kind of things. So it's a little more tricky. It really relies on the positioning and how much health they have and the current stage of the lane.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking a lot more about these particular individual points as we're going to be going on the replay. So Eosin, if you're ready to go, we're unpausing in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Alright, so this is a very good time to talk about our item choices. Now, the big thing about if you see more and more of these Dota 2 laning combo videos, is that a lot of our starting item is very similar. It's not going to be particularly identical, because I'll talk about my item choices in a bit. You see a little bit of different items compared to the previous one. But Eosin, back to you real fast. What is your starting item and why?
Okay, so my starting item is pretty much what I normally get on all my melee carries, I suppose. It consists of a Stout Shield, 2 branches, Tango Salve, and a Clarity. Sometimes I'll give up a Clarity and pick up a branch, but in this case, because the torrent cost is so high, I think it's a lot better to pick up a Clarity. As far as alternative starting builds go, I don't think there really is any, apart from if you were a solo mid Kunkka.
Okay, and obviously that's not a Dota 2 laning combo. Now here we're going to be running into a tree, and it's very important that you actually don't start out with the disruption combo, because you're not going to be doing enough damage. Notice how we mostly focus on right clicks first. It is important to get that initial harass, then you start with the disruption again, because you're only really starting to do with torrent damage. And you can see that even with the whole combo, we don't actually kill him right from the get-go, and we follow through thanks to the torrent slow being applied. So keep in mind that you don't get a kill even if you land your full combo. It is very important to land the previous harass. So real fast before we hand it back to Eosin, my starting item is going to be the standard chicken. Observer Ward in this case, because we'll be going on the long lane. It's important to ward off the pull camp, as well as having vision of the river. And then there's standard Tango Salve, Clarity, as well as a GU branch.
Okay, so I have just to level 2 in the lane. This is where it's really important to understand what Tidebringer can do for you in this lane. It's a very big splash range. So the idea behind this lane is to harass your opponents the best you can with the Tidebringer. And when the time comes, because of how much splash damage they've taken, when you see the opportunity to basically do your combo, it makes it so that your opponents are much more afraid to farm, and you zone them out, and you basically win your lane just by making your opponents afraid of eating a Disruption Torrent.
Yeah, it's actually like the Disruption Torrent combo is actually what kills them, but a big part of what actually really kills them is the continuous amount of harass coming from the Shadow Demon right clicks, as well as your Tidebringer harassment. So don't get lazy with the harassment, because again, you don't have enough nuke burst damage to kill them from 100% down to 0. This particular lane is a little bit annoying, but looks like we're going to just making it go here. Again, we don't do enough damage to kill because the harassment is not there. So he said one of the more important things to remember is that you could cleave off creeps or cleave off any target and do a little bit more damage to the units behind them because they ignore armor. That's a little bit of Tidebringer mechanic I don't want to get too deep into about. But against this particular lane, like, they have tree and armor, and that's one of the most difficult armor to kill through, most difficult regen spell to kill through. So it's very important to keep track of your own regen compared to the regen of your enemy. If you're running out of clarities and if you cannot replenish your mana to go, that's a very telltale sign. If they, for example, if they still have regen, that you're not going to be winning this lane on the long run. You have to blow through the regen slowly through Tidebringer harass as well as right-click harass from the Shadow Demon.
Right. So one thing to note is that Tidebringer does push your lane. You don't really want this to happen for too long, because in doing so, you're giving your opponents a chance to basically build back an advantage, or not an advantage, but to catch up. So this is why every now and then you'll see me and Lumi doing harass. So here you see that this Treant, he's out of position again, and because of this, Lumi gets in a couple right clicks, and being level 3 now, Soul Catcher, Torrent, and he's dead. One of the big problems with this lane is that because of that reaction time we mentioned earlier, Phantom Lancer was able to get himself into position here and make a trade. And making trades with this lane is something you normally do not want to do. It's a very passive lane. It can be aggressive at the same time, but it's mostly passive.
The lane kills, but it kills somewhat slowly. I guess passive might not be the correct word, but it's slow. It's not exactly your CM Juggernaut lane where you run up and straight up kill them. So there, again, with the Disruption 2.5, I guess, Disruption time, it allows them to actually set up. And here we go, easy combo. This is actually a good time to talk about interaction between Torrent as well as the Living Armor. Level 2 Torrent have the ability to blow through every single instances of the Living Armor, and you're able to actually get a kill very quickly and easily. That's exactly what we saw just on the screen. That's not really a knowledge that you could take through against any other laning combo that you're dealing with, but if you're playing against a Treant Protector as a Kunkka or as ST Kunkka dueling, that's something you could take advantage, time that Living Armor, and basically use it to your advantage.
Right. I think one of the mistakes I made in this game was that Lumi actually mentioned to me level 1 Torrent actually isn't strong enough to blow through Living Armor, and you have to take at least over 5 damage. So that's something you should remember about the Torrent mechanics and Living Armor. So here you see again, now that we have level 2 Soul Catcher, we're able to secure another kill on the Treant, but in return, once again, we end up with a trade, something we definitely do not want to have in this lane.
Yeah, especially with PL getting the kill. So I think at this particular point in the game, it's a good time to actually pause the replay and talk about what we talked about so far. The laning stage is practically over by now, and we definitely seen enough in terms of what this lane can do. A quick review is that we have 2-2-2 on myself and 2-0-2 on the Kunkka. So 4-2 is our laning score on the bottom. Not too bad, but not too good either. You expect a heavy lane killing combo to get a little bit more. And the weakness of this lane is how slow it kills. Sure, the burst damage is there, but also PL was able to sneak up on me a couple times and get a couple of return kills. That is also the weakness of this particular lane. Keep in mind to harass a ton before you make that go, or else you don't have enough damage. As well as keep in mind that it's very important to check out your regenerative compared to their regenerative, and make sure that you have enough to outlast them. This is a very slow, passive lane, but when the actions start up, you can get kills quite quickly as well. With this laning stage sort of over, Eosin, in terms of this particular game, where should we go from now on?
One of the best steps to take here is you either ask a teammate to help you shut down, the priority, which is Phantom Lancer. If not that, it's a really good time to start moving around and using our abilities to set up ganks for the rest of the team. Disruption Torrent is incredibly powerful at this stage. Pretty much anyone who gets caught in it is going to die at this level. And it's also worth mentioning that right now in-game time is 5 minutes. Nighttime starts at about 5:56 exactly, I believe. And when that nighttime hits, if they don't have an observer ward in the area for their lanes, it makes it a lot easier to initiate with Shadow Demon because of that low casting range that Lumi talked about earlier. They don't really see it coming as clearly. Uh, it gives them a lot less reaction time, and it makes it so that starting up your combo becomes a lot more easier at the nighttime.
Yeah, and I think the last thing to take away with is something that we kind of talked about is that Kunkka, sure, he's a fine carry hero, but at the same time, he's a great ganker as well, especially when you have the setup stun that Shadow Demon gives you. So I think the kind of the big combo to take away with is once you get level 6, it's going to be the Disruption torn into the Bolt combo. And also keep in mind that once Shadow Demon gets his own level 6, again, Shadow Demon Disruption does have a fairly low cast range, but the Demonic Purge have a long casting range. So sometimes you're going to be opening up with the Demonic Purge instead. And of course, that comes down to mix and match, comes down to player experience as well as how you decide to initiate and whatnot.
I think one thing to mention is that many things are situational. I believe that while I do mention the ganking potential of Kunkka and SD, it's also worth mentioning that because we are playing against a Phantom Lancer, staying in lane to farm with Kunkka isn't such a bad idea as well. You do want to more or less have good farm on your Kunkka so that you can deal with his illusions in the later stages of the game. But other than that, I think we're good here.
Yep. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Dota Laning Combo. Put in the comment section below what you guys want to see. Last time we did Crystal Maiden and Juggernaut. If you haven't seen that one yet, definitely check it out. And this time a little bit more passive, a little bit more different with the Shadow Demon Kunkka combo. Let us know what you want to see next, and hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, this is Luminous and Eosin, and we're signing off. See you guys.